Hey, guess what, everybody? Go listen to the Break It Down show.
All right, we're here at Mindseed Soundstage today in Oakland, California.
Yes.
Home base for a lot of things. Among those things, Dwayne Wiggins and Tony. He's always gracious enough to host us, and we love him. But we're here today with our band leader, Cori Jacobs.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
In the house. Man, you know what we didn't do was stick a mic in that piano while you were over there fucking it up.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I'll play it again. It's nice piano. I like if a piano feels good.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind it is. It's just I played $250,000 pianos that didn't feel so great.
Yeah.
And then I played pianos that were much more affordable.
Right.
And it's like you just can't stop playing it. I like that piano.
It is a nice piano. I mean, it sounds good. It sounds great in this room. This room is a wonderfully creative space. We got Darrell in the house. Darrell Carbullido is our engineer for the day.
Why, thank you.
We just brought him in to kick it because that's how
Darrell's
we
a
do it.
bassist, by the way. Doesn't really plays bass.
Darrell's a multi-instrumentalist.
Oh.
Cori, you're amazing. When's the last time we saw each other?
That was like 19.
19.
Big Button to Smile had just came out. Never trust a big button to smile.
He was actually getting ready to take off to play for Xavier.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I had been working with Xavier on his demos up here.
That's right.
And then he went to LA and got a huge management deal, which led to a huge first time out record deal, and that's what brought me to LA. It's just remains one of the most talented cats that I've ever met to this day.
Where is he?
He's back up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got a wife and a kid, and he's still doing music. Just lyrically and vocally is just a very sound, and production-wise, it's just a very sound.
He did get a huge deal. Remember, he was managed by Joe Ruffalo.
Yeah, multi-million-dollar deal. First time out, it's like never happened, and it never will again. Not multi-millions.
Yeah,
but he got a really, really incredible deal. And
this is a touchy subject because he was really kind of slated to be. He was like the next Prince.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that was how they sold him to the label. I mean, with the management, with the track record, like Joe Ruffalo, Earth, Wind and Fire, Ray Parker Jr., and a number of huge Prince.
Yeah, and Prince.
They say no more.
Right. So they took him to shopped him around the labels.
Marched him in there, and
I
they
remember
didn't really shop him. They was just, well, where do you want to go? Like, well, let's just go here.
Yeah.
His track record just spoke for
sure.
itself.
He'd just kick a door in.
Right.
The door was already kicked.
Yeah.
Right.
Prince got his high heel boot up there and said, "You don't have to worry about doors anymore."
And Prince was probably the third or fourth million seller that they had come up with or that they managed at the time. But Xavier had you on. I remember we went to your show in San Jose. You guys came through. You played at San Jose. And we went to that show, and that band was amazing.
Man, it was. We had Scott Canady from Pieces of a Dream. We had Darrell Woolfolk, who Scott played bass. Darrell Woolfolk played drums. His I think it was his cousin or his brother is from Earth, Wind and Fire.
That's Andrew.
Andrew Woolfolk. Yeah. We had Maso Kohama, who's in Japan, on guitar.
Yeah, he was bad.
Oh my goodness. And Darrell had the top singers that were backing him up, and I played keys, and we rehearsed. His music is very.
That show was so tight.
Well, yeah, rehearsal, and my personal rehearsals were 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Just to keep up. We had another keyboard player. I think we had James
Just
Slattery.
to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So full disclosure, Cori and I go way back.
Yeah.
And
to the time you took over my Kingdom in band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a
That's
Kingdom
true.
in band?
He did.
I had.
Were you
Cori
over a
ran
bunch of
things.
dudes?
Corey ran things
Nobody
until a
met-
new shot caller showed up.
Nobody messed with me in the band. Nobody talked.
Nobody dared open
talk
their
trash
mouth in Corey's presence.
until this
Right.
fool shows up
Uh-huh.
and challenge me, and
And
then you know what
and
happens.
I'm not having any of that shit.
Then the rest of the other Indians look up and go, well, he's
What he gets to?
Right.
How come he gets to?
That's it.
And I
That
was
was
like, follow me, y'all bitches. I will take you to the promised land. And I only mention that because of this. We had, look, I was a high school student who had a genuine interest in music. And I had such an immediate and general, I just decided one day when I woke up, I said, you know what? I've found my identity. I'm going to play the drums. So then I had to figure out, well, what am I going to do to learn how to play the drums? And I remember I had a class with Richard Harris. And Richard Harris said, you know what? You want to play the drums? You got to talk to Cori Jacobs. And I said, who is Cori Jacobs? And they said, you know, Cori Jacobs. He described me to you. I said, yeah, I know that dude. I didn't really know you.
Right.
But he said, go talk to Cori. So then I went and I talked to you. I said, Cori, I need to learn how to play the drums. And you said, okay, show up tomorrow. And I showed up tomorrow and all the tomorrows after that. And honestly, I followed you around so that I could learn how to play the drums. But outwardly, I had a cap.
Right.
Just so I could.
He had his, that was
a
your
reputation
skill.
to uphold.
I was like, wait, this cat is okay. All right.
So this is why I bring that up because, so now we're pretty much young adults.
This is high school. This is 11th grade, I believe.
That did happen in the 11th grade.
Yeah.
However, Cori was the baddest drummer in the whole school, and he never had a drum set. He learned how to play drums on his backyard fence. He did not have a drum set. I'm not kidding.
Kind of.
Still don't.
He learned how to play drums on his backyard fence, and the motherfucker was bad.
Damn.
So, anyway, fast forward.
Wait, hold on. Press pause for a second. You played the fucking fence?
It burned on the fence, Pete.
I never even heard of
Cori
him
will
playing
fuck
the
a
fence.
fence up.
Look, the Fat Albert Gang had a guy that played the radiator.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know Cori was in the band too, fucking up the fence.
He was.
That's not a radiator. That's a washboard.
No, man, there's a dude in there who plays the radiator.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, probably as a washboard.
No, he plays
Something.
it as
He
like
hit it with a stick or something.
Yeah, he hit it with the stick, and I think it had a balloon on it.
It was the Fat Albert Junkyard.
Okay.
You need to watch some Fat Albert.
I think that was Rudy.
I need to get.
Was that Rudy
I
that
think
played
it
the
was
radiator?
Rudy.
See?
If I'm not
Darrell will tell you which member of the Fat Albert Junkyard Band played what.
Yeah. What did Mushmouth play?
Well, I don't quite
Mushmouth
remember
was
that one.
also a multi-instrumentalist, much like Darrell. He was Darrell's inspiration, actually.
Yeah.
Mushmouth started off playing the bass, just like Darrell. And
like
then Darrell
Darrell.
noticed that Mushmouth could play keys, so he jumped on some keys, too.
Yeah, then later on I became a mush mouth.
You are the Guamanian Mushmouth.
Yeah.
He is.
All right.
By the way, we came into Mindseed Soundstage, and the first thing Darrell did was pick up Dwayne Wiggins' guitar and start fucking it up. How you going to do that, man?
I sure hope he doesn't mind.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I'm
but,
sure he'll be fine.
John, I actually wanted to go back on when I first met Cori was actually through you.
Okay.
And your introduction to Cori to me was telling me, look, you have to meet this friend of mine. We go all the way back to grade school, and this guy can play the hell out some drums. I said, okay, cool. I'm looking forward to that. So, of course, I come on over. We take a little trip down to Guitar Center.
Oh, we went to Guitar Center.
We sure did.
Okay.
Now, mind you, Cori was just looked like the rest
Probably
of
like
us.
20 years old at the time.
Absolutely. And we took the trip, and we went up to, this was when Guitar Center was in Berkeley.
Right.
So we went upstairs, and the first thing he shot out for was he shot straight over to that Roland JD800.
Oh, so I actually introduced you to Cori as a drummer.
As a drummer.
And he walked in the keyboard room.
And fucked up that JD800. And I said to myself, wait a second, I know John said he was a
Is
drummer.
this the same dude?
Yeah, I said, something's not, okay, it wasn't clicking. And then I asked you
Must be
later
another
on.
tall, greasy individual in a purple shirt just
Greasy.
walked in here.
In a purple shirt with 3 ties.
Right.
So, only to find out that not only was he a drummer, God forbid I hear
He had even by then quit playing the drums. He didn't even,
my
he even-
God. And I'm hearing this guy play this JD800, which was at the time one of my favorite keyboards. And
So
wow.
in your mind, this is not even, hey, this guy plays a few different instruments. This took you completely by surprise.
Completely.
Okay.
This is like when you guys are all about 20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was learning keys and going to church and just watching.
He was learning keys. This
watching.
learning the keys process began.
Was-
By the way, when we met in 11th grade, his moniker was the keyboard kid. He was Cori Jacobs, the keyboard kid, so he was just learning keys by age 21, although he had started when he was about 14.
And then when you learned the keys, were you like on your mama's couch playing fart sounds with the plastic covered couch to get the keys? You didn't have a keyboard, obviously.
No,
Yes.
I was playing drums with the spoons on the wall.
He is an improviser for sure.
Spoons and the forks on, and the cymbals were the beads.
Well, here's the thing about our listeners. Our listeners know how to hustle.
Yeah.
That's really what our show has to offer is, we get interesting people and we break down how the hustle came. And the thing about the hustle with Cori is that Cori will lock in on a particular task. And when it was time to learn to play the keyboards, he isolated everything else so that there was no interruptions and focused on learning to play the keys. And he learned every chord he could and every variation of every chord, and he just soaked up everything around him.
Well, he just said he had to play 8 hours practicing at that Xavier gig just to keep up.
Just to keep up.
How many people can practice for 8 hours of anything?
It's easy when you're well, first of all, when you're playing with when Darrell and Scott were in the room and you're playing, they're looking at you and they've got this look on this face. They're just waiting for you to mess up. So because no doubt because of their experience and who they know, and they didn't know me.
Right.
They have a list of keyboard players.
Yeah, there's a long line of guys behind you.
Right. And
I dare you to get a note right.
that they were like just looking. Okay, I don't know this cat, but I know about 8 cats right now. I can put in that position.
Right.
So, I was tasked, and Scott said, "Hey, can you play this?" And he wrote something down, and I had to play it. I was like, "I'm not a great reader, but you show me what it is," and he showed me, and I played it. I kept the gig. I kept doing the gig.
Yeah.
So there was something there, but I knew I had to get my retention up. The one thing about those guys who tour a lot is you have to learn quick.
Yeah.
And you have to learn fast, and you have to learn precise.
Yep.
And so I was counting, I was playing the whole show by myself, humming everybody's part in my head.
So they need to be able to. This is no different than an actor who learns the whole script.
Right.
So that he understands all of the beats that everybody else are creating around him.
Right.
And in order for you to function at the top of your game, you need to be able to understand that arrangement such that the MD can change something on the fly and you can play it at performance speed with performance precision the first time around.
Because you might be doing the show, it's like, well, they said 45 minutes, but they're only giving us 20 minutes, so take every section and cut it in half. And you got to go, okay, every section, okay, cool. No rehearsal, just on the spot. And
all the sections cut in half.
Pretty much a lot of people I've toured with, we're doing a TV show, but we're going to add this song, so you need to learn it real quick, like right now, and then we're gonna do it. And these are the parts, and you have to, there's no room for learning it. Like, I have to get it in my head, I have to get it under my finger. No, right then and there. And I learned that very quickly.
So when you came around to San Jose, I remember I got the phone call, hey man, I'm going to be in San Jose, come check me out. Xavier's playing, he's got a show date. We went. I brought my lovely wife. We went to the show, and that was really my first time seeing you in the environment of you were on tour.
Yeah.
And I showed up, the show began, and the musicianship on the show, like you said, was outstanding. And there were opening acts that day, that night. And the opening acts were pretty good, but you guys came out and just started cutting heads. And the musicianship on that show was ridiculous. So my heart was warm. I was so happy to see you in that musical environment where it seemed like, man, Cori is making his dream come true right now. And the challenging arrangements, the whole thing. I mean, the costumes, you were a rock star.
I was concentrating.
But that's what I saw. I'm just telling you what the rest of the world viewed when you guys came out. The lights came up. Working. Xavier came out in his pants with lollipops all over him or something crazy. But it was a tight show. It was awesome. So, yeah, man, that was great. And I was very proud to know you.
What I want to know is what were you doing 5 minutes before you get that gig, though? Like, have you ever had a regular, like, I'm going to scoop ice cream kind of job, or I worked at Target, or...
Oh, yeah, you guys have an alma mater in common, actually.
Oh, we do?
Costco.
Oh, okay. I used to work at Costco.
And before Costco, Chevy's. I was washing dishes at Chevy's. And then these these people from Costco came in to eat lunch, but none of the servers wanted to serve them because they were kind of rude. And I said, well, I'll go over there. I'll help them out.
That's a hustler.
They
right
work.
there.
They work at Costco. I was like, so I go over there and I said, well, do you need anything? And I kept checking on them. They were like, hey, you want a job at Costco? Why don't you come by and get an application? I'm there tomorrow. And then, started working there.
So from your job at Costco, you're still playing music on the side, and then all of a sudden you get this tour with Xavier. You got to go out on the tour. We went on the tour bus even.
Did you really?
Yeah, we went and checked out the tour bus. It was
one of 6.
Damn.
We went through 6 tour buses.
Wow.
And 7 drivers.
Wow.
Before we get
it was unremarkable, actually, that tour
before
bus.
we go too far on the Xavier thing, here's what I got to know. So what did you do at Costco?
Everything.
All right. And how many numbers do you remember?
Oh, man. I know eggs.
Eggs. You know milk? I think milk was 1.
Well, yeah. Milk was 1.
See? That's awesome.
Toilet paper was 43119.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are nerding out about Costco.
I'll tell you what, there are people there that could pull seasonal shit.
Some people are listening right now and like 229.
Well, what I'm trying to point out is you worked at fucking Costco pushing carts and running around the warehouse trying to find a number when someone didn't know a number.
This is before they had scanners.
Right, yeah.
You punched each number in and you moved the number that was punched in from one cart to the next.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was what we did. And then the scanners came and some people were like, nah, we're faster than the scanners. And then they was like, well, the scanners are easier.
Sure. Just like always, they're going to be those diehard people who can't get off their own procedure. Analog is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so when someone comes along and says, play keyboards for Xavier and you got to practice 8 hours a day before practice, that's easy, because you're like, I'm going to do that.
Love it.
Yeah.
You love it. And you don't want to be at rehearsal with these guys who've been touring with these huge acts and you don't know your stuff. You want to go through rehearsal and you don't want any attention. You just want them to look at you. We ain't got to worry about him. He knows his stuff.
That's funny.
The rehearsal is all for the artist.
We're talking about an occupation that is staffed with people who like the attention. I mean, you're a rock star. You can't not like the attention and join that occupation.
Right.
But the best thing that you can do for yourself if you want to keep this gig on tour is don't call any attention to yourself.
Because you're a side man.
One needs to be on one.
Right.
And it needs to be there every time.
Right. Every time. If they're unsure, then you've got the artist singing or playing, and then they're looking back at you to see, is he going to get this? And then they're trying to look at you and remind you, this part's coming up. Are you going to get it?
Yeah.
But if you
don't want to be that dude.
You don't want to be no, because that dude usually doesn't get called back.
Right.
That's like basic training, except for in reverse. You don't want to be the rock star. You want to be the guy that they don't have to worry about.
Right.
Because you get all the things done, and you want to be a bit player. Mm-hmm. You want to just play your tune and let someone else go out there and get all the attention. So yeah, man, that's cool. I dig it.
So we were talking yesterday, and Pete was like, "Yeah, man, when you're a professional musician, like how far off is the miss? Is there if you're doing something like how out of sync? Where is that line where your pocket is not quite there? Like trying to measure an incremental miss, for instance." Mm-hmm. And I think, and my counter was, it's not how far you miss. You don't miss that far. Mm-hmm. It's how frequently you miss. Mm. And if you're that guy who, are you going to, here comes the change. Are you going to be there? Mm-hmm. Are you going to miss it again? That's when it's, you missed it again.
And then the artist starts freaking out.
Yeah.
And the other band members start. And if they don't know you, you're as good as gone.
You're done.
They'll start calling people to say, come down. I was in a situation recently where I had to replace a drummer. And I was the musical director. And we replaced the drummer. And it's like, okay, who you got? So I had to call somebody who I knew had great retention and could play the hell out of the drums.
Right, and could pick it up. Do the gig. You didn't have to teach him.
Quick. He's like, okay,
what are we
doing?
Plug him. Who is it?
Oh, Trey Potts.
Potts.
He plays with me now. Amazing drummer. Great retention.
Yep.
Pocket is just a pocket player, but also has fills.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, Trey.
Great guy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go get him, Trey. That's a hustle right there.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So the next time I saw you
want to be on the
after
top of
that,
someone's phone, like, I know who I need. Bam, hustler.
I just want to know, did he have to play his fence to get that gig?
I don't know if Trey played no, Trey has a kit. I never had a kit. My parents didn't. I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters. There's no way they were going to buy an acoustic drum set for me. And the electronic drums at the time were Simmons's.
Right.
And those were just way overpriced. It was
Right.
like you weren't.
They were
I wasn't going to
expensive,
have it.
and they were whack anyway.
Yeah. So it was either ride my bike 3 miles to go to church, play the kit there.
I mean, you didn't even have the real estate in a house that full of siblings. You didn't have the real estate to put a drum set someplace.
it wasn't going to happen.
Plus, I know your brothers and sisters. One of them would have ate the drum set.
Yeah.
You would have come home from school one day and Lewis ate my drum set.
Like a pack of goats.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to single you out, Lewis, but you would have ate the drum set. Anyway.
So Xavier had 6 tour buses.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Lil Jake ate a drum set.
Well, Lil Jake.
Yeah. Anyway, please continue. How did you guys go through all those tour buses?
Well, what they kept breaking down, and then drivers kept quitting, and at one point in time, some of the band members were driving the bus, and so the
you don't want that.
So the bus driver could get some sleep. It's like, hey, because he was bobbing and weaving on the road. And
hey, man, you know how to play guitar. Driving a bus has got to be a piece of cake. Yeah. If you have that kind of manual dexterity, let me show you how to press this gas pedal.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't want the bus driver wanted to go see the shows. Like, you can't get some sleep. As soon as we park, you go to sleep. You can go to a show when it's convenient. But right now, you need to sleep.
Right.
So and one bus driver went under the bus to get the luggage and I guess forgot to lock the lid, and it fell down and cracked his head open. So he had to go call another bus driver, and then one bus.
Like, ooh, Larry's head is wide open. We need another bus driver.
Right. I think the most interesting story was we were in the South on our way. We were going up the Eastern Seaboard, and we were in the South, and the bus a part went out on the bus, and so we went to this company to go fix the bus, and you can hear the guy talking. Oh, yeah, we can fix it. What's wrong with it? Oh, alternating. Yeah, we can got it. So, and he was like, yeah, well, let me show. And so he walks onto the bus, and he sees the band. Yeah. So our tour managers, it was Mark Eidelman, who used to tour manage Prince. Mm-hmm. He was Prince's road manager. He's a white guy. Really cool guy. So the guy comes on the bus, and he sees Darrell Woolfolk, me,
a bunch
Scott
of brothers,
Kenny, a bunch of brothers.
A Japanese dude.
And, yeah.
And you're on the bus with this white guy.
Right. And
they don't appreciate that down there?
Next words out of his mouth was, I'm not going to be able to fix your bus.
Wow.
So it was like, are you serious? Well, we should have went into the anyway, that was one of the most interesting. I was like, well, so how the hell are we supposed to get another bus?
This is funny, and I don't want to bring up, racially sensitive topics or whatever. That's not what but this is the kind of thing that reminds me whenever I hear people say, man, come on, there isn't racism anymore. You know what I mean? It's in this day and age, there shouldn't be. It's true that there shouldn't be, but there is.
You know what? And it's scientifically proven that everything that lives always lives. It just changes forms. Racism is dead from what it used to be, the form it used to be in, which was very whites only, colored only. Right. It was very overt. Mm-hmm. Now it's covert.
Yeah.
So it's still alive. It just had to change form, and now it's in a different. I prefer it to be where I could see it, because where you can't see it, and by the time you do see it, it's like
too late.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of those things where if there is no right, there is no wrong. There just is, and if you feel like that, then that's your prerogative. We all have free will. We are all our own observers, so that's fine.
So, I will not be able to fix your bus.
Right.
How did you guys get out of there?
We had to call and get another bus, or the bus, we had to drive the bus. It made it on its last leg to the next destination, and where we swapped buses. So we were able to get past the guy's angst or whatever it was.
So how was the act received around the country? Were there differences in different regions of the country where you could go, they sure do like us a lot more in LA than they like us here in Texas or here in
Well,
Louisiana.
at the time, it was Xavier's first time out. He was a new act. Certain places, they were like, oh my, like in San Diego and San Francisco. We did a show in San Francisco, and people were ripping off. They reached over and grabbed the set list, and they were enthralled. But then in other places like, where were we? Like Ohio, no,
they didn't get him.
Not in the least.
Okay,
and it was one of those things where he's a new act, but then other places like New Orleans, people
they're not
loved him.
afraid of new acts.
Right.
Well, the thing about that is that you always got to appreciate that, you know the best way to get good at something is to go out and get punched in the mouth about it, so you got to go out and get booed off the stage.
Hogan High School rallies.
And be not you like to bring up old shit. You got to go out and get.
Let's
you got to get your
bring
ass.
up some old shit.
You got to get your ass handed to you.
We did the Hogan High School rally. The first one we did, Inspector Gadget, killed.
We killed. So you know what happens when you kill the first time?
Yeah,
I could do anything I want.
Right. So we thought we were going to kill the next time. So I think we did Oh Sheila the following rally.
We did, but Corey couldn't play secular music. He could only play music from the church. So we all sang Oh Sheila, and he sang Oh Jesus.
It was horrible.
It was
John
terrible.
went home and changed clothes.
I did. I changed clothes.
Yeah.
I went home and changed clothes, and then I came back. And my first class after lunch, because the rally was right before lunch, and then I went home at lunchtime, changed clothes. Like I'm gonna put on some white pants. I'm gonna make it look like I don't even.
I wasn't there.
And I walked into my first class after lunch was biology, and I sat down, had my sunglasses on, and I sat down. And I remember I took about 10 minutes into that class, and I was like, okay, all right, cool. Nobody said anything. All right, I'm good. I'm in the clear. And then Dion Ingram, I can't remember which name he was using because he used either one, right? So anyway, Dion was sitting next to me. And I remember he just looked over, he gave me a sly look. And I looked over at him, and I caught him looking at me, and he goes, I saw you, motherfucker. That's all that he said. And I was like, yeah, you did, didn't you? All right. And Dion played the drums, too. He was good. So.
That was yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to go.
We didn't care. We went back out. It wasn't the last time.
No, it wasn't the last. But to redeem ourselves, we rocked the first Vallejo Hogan drum competition.
Okay.
Absolutely killed.
Yeah, we killed. Yeah. We did. We smashed. Yeah. And Vallejo High, oh, man, their band director, Frank Bogosky, may he rest in peace. Yeah. That dude was cool.
And his father.
Yeah, Frank Sr. Yeah. So they, they invited us. We went to Vallejo and did the competition at Vallejo. And, man, there's a lot of Vallejo High drummers that were over there that I still love to this day.
Mm-hmm. Be legit?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was over there? Tom Geraldizo. All kinds of guys. And they were cool. So, but we did smoke them. And Cori Jacobs won individuals.
Did you have like a big old hunk of fence like attached around your neck that you played? Or?
No, he did. He dragged it around. It wasn't even attached to his fence. I think it was tied onto his belt loop.
The fence was tuned like the quads were tuned.
Yeah.
And that's how.
A little bit of corrugated steel, a little bit of corrugated fiberglass, some chain link.
Well, it was just fence.
And a plank.
It was just wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and I was proud of myself because it was out of 100 points, I got a 97.
Wow.
Which was,
and you practiced your ass off.
Yeah.
For the time leading up to that entire month.
Yeah.
Man, you did nothing but practice.
Yeah. I would march the quads and snare all about 3/4 of a mile all the way up to not Danfoley Park, but they call it Sherwood Forest. Yeah, and I would practice there 4 hours to march them back and rehearse, practice. I was like, I'm winning this. There's no way. And then
it wasn't even close.
Yeah. Hands down.
Yep.
Hands down.
So
wow.
Yeah, there's that. That's just Corey's work ethic, man.
But that's why you get to be a professional musician.
That's true.
Oh well, I think anybody can. It's just the you look at the goal and not the process. Like you look at the destination and not the road to the destination. You just stay focused on this is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to be, and it takes a lot of pressure and weight off of actually doing it.
If you like the show,
And you know you do.
send us some pictures of your movies.
Don't do that. Support the show.
There are 3 ways you can support us.
Number 1, go to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And leave a 5-star rating and review.
It helps with the show metrics and helps us get better placement. Number 2,
Visit our website.
www.breakitdownshow.com.
We've got an Amazon and an eBay link.
Same Amazon, same eBay, you know and love, but they give us a little kickback when you get to their site from ours. And number 3, leave comments about the shows that you like. We want to know what you think, how you feel.
Tell us how to make the show better. We greatly appreciate it.
Now back to the show.
We like boobies.
Hey, can I ask you, you know what the reason I brought the theme song up to begin with was, you recorded it several weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Can you just, off the top of your head, remember the arrangement fairly well?
No.
Okay. I was just going to say, there's a piano right there. Do you want to play it?
I have. The thing about...
You played 8,500 things since then, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, if I'm doing a show, then I'll play something so I can remember it.
Yeah.
But something like that, it was basically you gave me an idea of like, oh, this is what I like, and so it's like I took elements from.
Yeah, and you composed and you arranged and you put it together and you went here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's gone. I can't remember it. But if I heard it, then I could probably, it's just something that.
Okay, well, you maybe
you
don't remember it, but that shit is bad.
Yeah, it's hella bad.
I'm really pleased that you guys like it.
No, we love it. We don't like it. We love it. It's
cool.
fantastic. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, so I do want to ask you about your creative process, though, because all those things you have to put in there, all the different elements. How does the muse come to you? Does it come when you're sitting there at the keyboards? Does it come in the middle of the night? What happens? How do you describe that?
It all of the above. Sometimes it's in dreams and you got to get up and fire things up. Sometimes you're on the toilet. Sometimes you're in the middle of sex and you got to stop. Well, you kind of usually wait till you bust and then you go and figure out your part.
I enjoy Pete's questions about music as a layperson because I always think, well, Pete is a writer. Mm-hmm. And everything that you ask about the artistic process, I always think, you could answer this question as a writer. Like, when does the muse hit you? Well, sometimes it hits me while I'm taking a piss. Yeah. Right. Sometimes it hits me while I'm, doing it. It just doesn't.
It likes to hit me in the shower.
You breathe, you breathe in and out, and it comes to you sometimes. It showers good, though. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you about that.
Right. Well, you don't know where it's going to come. You just got to be aware that it's...
And ready to capture it.
Right.
Wherever it is.
Right. It could be a conversation, and there's a lot of times I'm talking on the phone, I'm like, hey, that's great. That, you know what? That's a song. And it's the same thing with, it's just about being aware and being in the moment and picking things off a tree. Oh, there's an apple. Oh, there's an apple. Oh, there's an apple. So there's no single way.
So how did you get that Xavier gig anyway? You didn't know the MD? They were all waiting to replace you.
They were.
How did you get that gig?
I met Xavier at the Guitar Center. I was playing and...
See, this is why fools go to music stores.
Yeah, it's not to buy stuff on the spot.
Sometimes you go to, a major purchase like a musical instrument, that's something you do once every couple of years. In the meantime, you go to the music store in your neighborhood 25 times.
Just to play.
And sometimes you go in there and you pick something up and you horse around with it and somebody else goes, damn, what's up with you? What are you doing? So...
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
He said, hey, why don't you come down to the studio? And so I went and started playing with him and helping him with his demos.
And where was he at the time?
He was in El Sobrani.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in El Sobrani, so I was making a trip over to El Sobrani. I was helping him do his demos. He had a lot of interest. And then he moved to Los Angeles, and a young man by the name of J.D. worked at a golf course, and he was the caddy for Joe Ruffalo.
You got to be kidding.
No, he was Joe Ruffalo's caddy, and didn't take Xavier's tape. It was a cassette tape.
Yeah.
He stole Xavier's cassette tape and took it and gave it to Joe Ruffalo, and it sat on Joe Ruffalo's desk or wherever it sat at his home for 6 months.
Okay.
Until Joe Ruffalo's wife found the cassette, put it in, and was floored by what she heard. And then
She said, Joe,
check this out. And he listened to it, and then everything trickled back. And then there you go. And the rest is history.
You got your job with Xavier very similar to how you got your job at Costco.
right?
Right.
You know,
It's by hanging out.
and be like, I'll help. Sure, yeah.
That's how I got the Lauryn Hill gig. It's the hanging out.
How did you get the Lauryn Hill gig?
I was doing a favor for a friend playing keys. It was a rap act. And I had this big orchestral introduction before he started rapping. At the end of the show, Double G from the Ka Hip Hop Orchestra comes over to me and he says, hey, here's my number. Call me tomorrow. I want to know if you want to audition for Lauryn Hill. And I was like, yeah.
Right. Call me tomorrow. I want to know if the Pope shits in the woods.
Right.
You know what? Yes, he does. I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah, and I called him to set up the audition, which was a really interesting one. Really. It was like Miss Hill's going to come in. She's going to pick up her guitar,
Okay.
and you're going to just jump in and start playing with her. We don't even know what we're going to play. I did all this research. Oh, we might play this song. We might play this song. She started playing some other stuff. The bass player that was in the room could catch her quicker than I can because he plays bass. So he saw where her fingers were, the bar chords. So he knew where those notes were. So he had it easy. I had to find a key. And her guitar was out of tune.
Come on.
Yeah. So I
How do you play the piano out of tune?
No, her guitar.
No, what I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you get there?
You find the relative note. I think she's here.
You think she's here?
Yeah, and then
so
you start
had to
playing.
jump in where you could.
Jump in when you fit in. It was, to me, it was a travesty. But then they called me 2 days later. Miss Hill wants to know if you want to go to New Orleans and play. I was like, do you know who this is? This is Cori, the keyboard player. Yes, Miss Hill wants to know if you want to go to New Orleans.
Right, you're
and,
not
and
calling
play
her
with her
bitch.
at the right. Play with her at the W Hotel. And I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Right? Why do you folks keep asking these fucking questions? Quit asking these damn questions. Tell me what time to show up at the airport.
Right. Yeah, and I was flown, treated very, very well, amazingly. And then from there, I was on the gig for quite some time. Had, just like we're talking now, had personal conversations with that woman.
Yeah.
Amazing, talented person.
So the thing is, I see you with Xavier, and then, and the years go by, and it's not like we didn't stay in touch. We'd always stayed in touch, and, and I could see the progress and stuff. But the next time that I see you in a big, rock star gig was Lauryn Hill. So she came through. She played the Great American Music Hall, and I went to go see that band, and that band was fucking bad.
Man,
That band was bad.
Yeah. Dapo Turismo was me and him were playing keys, and Dapo, if you don't know, Demi Lovato, Justin Bieber, really, really, really good keyboard player.
So when that band came out, though, it was like, I don't know how many of you there were on that gig, but when
14.
There were 14 of you on that gig.
Yeah, 4 guitar players.
Because the stage at the Great American Music Hall is not that big.
No.
And I remember you guys were just climbing all over each other.
Yeah.
It was like when you see a hamster cage.
Yeah.
And they got a cage for 2 hamsters. They got about 14 hamsters in there.
Yeah.
It looked like that. You
It
guys
was
were
a
just on top of each other.
Huge band.
And then the music started, and this just enormous wall of, it was like a great big baseball bat of music hit you in the face. And I remember you guys played for a solid probably 15 minutes before Lauryn Hill came out.
Yeah.
And that was 15 minutes that was just on fire.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was rehearsals where I'm a firm believer in that rehearsals will always be better than shows, because rehearsals, there is a relaxation there and a feeling of, we can stop if we mess up. At a show, it's hit play and that's it. And then there's a
great tension that's wonderful for the crowd to hear.
No matter how long you've been doing it, you have to take 20% away. On the stage.
You got to knock it back a little bit.
From
take
the
it
pros
easy.
to the nose.
Right.
20%.
Yeah.
Why 20%?
That's your margin of...
Yeah, that's your margin of error.
Yeah.
Unless you... Like the Rolling Stones is probably not 20% because they've been doing it for 50 years. But if it's your first time out, the first few times, until it becomes another day at the office.
Right.
There's this nervousness.
It's like you know where you're going to land.
Right.
You know what you can successfully pull off. Should I do the trick where I go up and I do 3 flips and a twist? Well, usually I can pull that off. But if I take the twist out and just do the 3 flips, I know I can land it.
Or if there's somebody in the
like
band that you know, if you do those tricks and flips, it's going to throw them off. You know you got to play it safe.
So part of it is not just you, but you have to be kind to those around you. And in rehearsal, you can be like, come on this journey with me. I'm going to do this twist, and I'm going to see if you can hang in there.
Right.
And in the spirit of musical growth, you can prod somebody to that. But, you got a few thousand people looking at you. It's time to, okay, we're going to dial that back.
Right. At rehearsal, if nobody knows each other, then it's a thing of claiming your territory.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, who's the weakest link?
Right.
And that's what musicians do. They find each other. It's like, okay, and some cats just
I see where the hole in your swing is.
Right. And everybody's looking for that because they know somebody who can fill your slot.
Right.
And so they're like, okay, I don't like this cat. I want him out. I can move this cat in. And that's just the way it is. It's like when a company takes over another company, they usually fire all the old employees and bring in their own. So it's understandable.
Yeah. Okay, so now here's the thing about the Lauryn Hill gig, though. When that thing came around, we went to that show. It was a bunch of us. You had a fat set list a fat guest list that night because it was a gang of us that came, and we watched that show and we went, these are all guys who have known each other, most of our lives, and we went, holy shit, Cori's a fucking rock star. You know what I mean? I just walked up to the Great American Music Hall and said, I'm on the list.
I'm on the list.
And that fool looked down at the list and said, why, yes, you are. And he opened the door. This is what Cori did. So then we walked in and we were like, God damn, we could say we're with Cori. And we got in there, and the show was terrific. We were at the first show, thankfully, because the second show started so late that you guys
we got shut
ended
down.
up getting shut down.
Yeah.
But the first show played out, and, man, you having that gig kind of changed things for you, didn't it?
It did. It changed things, and it let me know what I was capable of. It let me know that someone at that level who sold millions of records, who's voted and multiple Grammys, voted most powerful woman in the music industry is like, her management came to me and said, yeah, Miss Hill likes you. She said, that keyboard player, yeah, he's got soul. And that is huge for me. It was huge. And you appreciate those moments when they come. And she was very, very candid.
She said Cori's got soul, and he's dark as hell.
Yeah.
John, I recall every time you'd seen Cori in that setting for the first time, Xavier and Lauryn Hill, I distinctly remember him calling me to tell me and brag about it. And we would sit there on the phone just kind of in amazement, even though we weren't looking at each other. We're like, damn.
Yeah, man, Cori did it.
Yeah.
It was. We had several moments like that.
Yep.
But it's, I cherish those moments. And with her, I think it was the first major. There was a few other major acts that I really appreciate too, and that I learned a lot. Sly Stone being one, and Bobby Womack being the other one. Journey in Peace, Mr. Womack.
We want to talk about Bobby Womack, but we got to rewind because a couple weeks ago we were on our way to San Diego to go grab a couple of podcasts, and we were out there working. And on our way down, naturally, we're on our way to San Diego. We said, well, we got to stop and take Cori out to dinner or something. And
because that fool will eat peanuts until he gives himself an allergy.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm only eating nuts for the next 6 months.
Right, that's
he's
all
like,
I'm
I can't
doing.
Stop itching.
That's all I'm doing. Just like his obsessive keyboard playing.
It smells like walnuts, dude.
Yeah. Right, quit scratching yourself.
I can't stop itching.
We better take this boy out and have him something to eat. So we went and stopped at your house, and then while we were at your house, probably talking smack about your tie collection or something, the phone rang and it was Sly Stone.
Yeah.
And Cori said, hey, do you guys want to go meet Sly Stone? And I felt like somebody was asking
say
me.
it without laughing.
I can't say it without laughing because I felt like somebody was asking me, would you like to go to New Orleans with Miss Hill? Cori had the nerve to say, "Would you like to go meet Sly Stone?" What?
Yeah.
Just tell me what time to be where I'm supposed to be. So we went and had the distinct pleasure of meeting Sly Stone, who was wonderful, who we'll hopefully have on our podcast in the very, very near future.
Yeah.
And
totally interested in doing that.
sweet. Well, the thing about that evening was it was just, we've been fortunate to meet, all of us in this room, we've all been fortunate to meet a tremendous number of very interesting people, many of our heroes. Mm-hmm. I'm looking around the room thinking, yeah, we've all done, you go out there and seek people out. That was fucking Sly Stone. Yeah. And I remember just sitting in the room with him at one point, and we're just, hanging out, bullshitting, talking, laughing about stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, God damn, I'm sitting in the room with Sly Stone. I don't get starstruck often. I'm very happy to spread the love, but I don't get starstruck often. But I was sitting in an apartment thinking, God damn, I am where Sly Stone lives, and he's here laughing at my jokes. That was amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't, John, it wasn't enough that you had one of your high school buddies or grade school buddies grow up and become a member of that band, but you met the man himself.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That to me, first of all, I met him on a fluke. My mother always told us that we were related, but I was producing an act and we were going to play the Temple Bar, and Sly's daughter Novena is just as talented, just an amazing songwriter, singer. She worked at the Temple Bar, so I called her to try to get some comps for the show that I was doing, and she said, yeah, well, we don't do comps. And I was like, yeah, well, I apologize. She said, yeah, a lot of people, they just want to do comps, and famous people are coming and they want free stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, I supposedly have a famous cousin. And she said, yeah, well, my dad's famous. And it was the same person.
Yeah.
And I
you guys
was
were
like,
talking about the same individual.
Right.
Well, who is you?
Right. Well, who's your, oh, my dad's Sly Stone. I was like, well, that's my cousin. She's like, oh, well, we're cousins then. So I go to her show, and then her band breaks into If You Want Me to Stay. And they go, we need a volunteer to come up and help us sing this song. Are there any volunteers out there? And I'm looking around the room going, somebody got to know this song. And on the stage walks Sly Stone.
Come on.
And
that was a nice setup.
Yes.
Yeah.
My jaw hit the ground. And I was just enamored. Like, I can't believe it. And then a couple weeks later, she's also working with a talented producer, guitar player named Itai. And I'm helping them doing their project in the studio. And then she calls me and asks me, can you help my dad set up a studio? Yeah.
Right. Here's another one of these questions.
Right. And then from that point, that was when I started working with him. I went over there, set up a studio.
You developed a relationship. Did you say, hey, by the way?
No. That came about
much later?
Well, yeah, it came about much later when he started talking about his dad. And his dad and my grandfather were first cousins.
Okay.
And he started talking about Cousin Kroll, who was my grandfather. And Cousin Kroll had 4 kids, Erlene, Merlene, Manuel, and Billy. And I was like, wait a minute. Merlene is my auntie and Erlene is my mother. Boy, we cousins.
and we both greasy.
And that was, but it was totally unsolicited, and
right.
My whole thing wasn't even about that.
Yeah.
Because
right.
that
no, you're in the presence of Sly Stone. No matter whose cousin he is, he's still Sly Stone.
He's my cousin.
Yeah.
But the thing
You
about
do
it
look
was,
like him.
I wanted to know his musical process. I wanted to know.
Absolutely. Don't we all?
Right.
Yeah. We all
You
have
just
a million questions.
Hey, we are in Mind Seed Soundstage right here, and go in the bathroom and look whose picture's hanging in the bathroom.
Shit, it's Sly Stone.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, everybody that.
Wow.
Let's catch our listeners up. Cori and I grew up in Vallejo, California.
Yeah.
Pete and Venetia right next door.
Yeah.
Sly Stone is from Vallejo. He's
Yeah.
the most, there are a lot of famous
Went-
people
went-
that have
went
come
to-
from Vallejo. Sly Stone is chief among them.
Yeah. Went to Solano Community College and was taught by David Froelich, who recently passed in the past few years. David Froelich, Sly speaks very highly about was the one who taught him his theory.
Okay.
And Sly knows theory. I will never forget. I'm playing the song at rehearsal, and he tells me, "You are a third off. Move the chords down a third." And I was like, "What is he doing?" Oh shit! What kind of ear do you have to have in order to? And he wasn't even looking at the keys.
Not his first time around.
No, and that is, to me, that is like, what is that? Where does that come from? And it's just the innate genius, that sense.
That was like you had a Pete moment. Like, what are you doing? Where does that come from?
Yeah.
What is that?
No, I know. That's exactly.
And sometimes you have to look in within yourself, and you go, well, I have a place to relate to that, but there is something there that somebody understands that you just strive to understand.
There's that level of genius you get to. I was reading a story an interview with the Edge's guitar tech, and he has to change Edge's guitar strings on every guitar every day, and if he doesn't, the Edge will know. He's like, "You change these strings?"
Oh, I'm sorry, boss.
Sorry, boss. That's how detailed he is, and that genius, that's where that genius lives. It's like, look, this is right.
Yeah.
Anything else is not, and I can hear it.
Anything else is not, right?
Right.
There's the margin. It's just not right.
And I, another, if I may tell another quick story, I was,
we brought you here to put a microphone in front of you so you could tell stories.
I was at Sly's house, and George Clinton had come through. He and Sly were going to work on Flashlight.
This fool called me up at 7 o'clock one morning. I looked at my phone at 7 in the morning, and it said Cori Jacobs, and I worried. The first thing in my mind was, I don't get calls from Corey's a rock star. He don't wake up 7 o'clock in the morning. I look down at my phone. I see Cori Jacobs 7 o'clock in the morning. I think something might be wrong. I'm worried. I answer the phone. Corey, how you doing? He says to me, "Man, I just came out of the studio. I've been in the studio since 10 o'clock last night with Sly Stone and George Clinton." That's the only time I ever peed my pants as an adult.
I mean, it's like being in a room with Picasso and Da Vinci.
Damn.
Yeah.
Just and they're it's like we're talking.
Yeah.
There's no paparazzi. There's no and it was just like, what do I want to ask him? So I asked him as many things as I could. But what had happened was Sly had asked me to redo the track for Flashlight so George could sing on it.
Thanks. You come in the studio.
You want me to what?
Flashlight for George Clinton.
The track isn't done, so George, because I was going to engineer it. You do it. What? He's sitting right there.
Right. He's sitting there, right? First of all.
So I put the headphones on, and I did the track, and I took a deep breath. I turned around, and I said, as humble as I could, do you want to sing over this? And he listened to it. I played it out, and he says, "Yeah, I could work with that." And I was just like, "Oh my God!" So but that was just the skeleton of it. When we were adding and stacking things in there, if I was a hair ahead or behind,
here's your margin, Pete.
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to know.
He would say, "Yeah, you're a little behind. You're a little behind. Play it again. Relax." That's it.
Right there.
He doesn't play an instrument. He is his all hearing.
He doesn't play an instrument.
No, and he started the horn parts. He reharmonized them and started humming these new horn parts for the song, and they were these dissonant parts. He's like, "Yeah, put that one in." And if I was a hair short of his ear and his just timing was unbelievably impeccable. And the thing about these guys is they are unscrupulously, if that is a word, honest.
How many words have we made up in this room? Go ahead. Yes, he's honest.
Divorcement was the last one we made here.
I played a track for Sly, redid a song of his, and I wanted him to hear it. And we were there. George was there. A talented mixer named Larry Ferguson was there, and Sly. I played it for Sly, and I'm thinking, yeah, he's gonna love this, man. Check this out. And then I mixed it all, and Sly had his hands in his pocket, and when the song was over, he was just shaking his head, like, no,
like,
don't
break my heart.
That's not it. And was like all the blood just left on the heart, and so I was like, well, what's wrong with it? And George chimed in, and he said,
because he noticed too. He was just trying not to say anything.
No, well, I mean, Sly's blood. So you let him, after Sly said no, he chimed in.
He was like, okay. Well,
this is
if
what's
it's
wrong
like
with
that,
it.
we'll tell you.
He said, you play like you care too much. And Sly said, you're too good. It's just like you care. And George said, why don't you just play like you don't give a shit? And I was like, play like I don't care? Just what? But I had no concept.
You're in a room with George Clinton. He wants you to play like you don't care.
Right, but I mean, that's like a euphemism.
Yeah,
that means you play the right chords.
Let it come out.
But just, let it out naturally.
Quit forcing.
So I had to unlearn it because I grew up. I was in the Chick, I was Herbie, and all that jazz stuff was like very precise and very intricate. But funk and soul is like just loose, and it's just a vibe, and so I had to unlearn a lot of stuff in order to play that.
What's that song we were talking about? The Sly and the Family Stone song, the summertime song.
Hot Fun in the Summertime.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how loose that is and how that's just.
And it's almost like they said, just come in when you get there, because it's hot.
It's hot.
I mean, no one's got
it's
time.
Summer. Yeah, we're not. You know what? We're not gonna rush.
You come in with that harmony, just even a little late. We want that, and it's just like you feel like it was like just slow and.
Man, I went home and shedded. Never redid the track or played it for him again. But that was the reason I was there. That was why I wanted to be around them, was to soak that up.
Yeah,
to get that little bit of
the wisdom of ages and ages of funk.
Yes, and where it came from. So it's not anything that's really tight. And when they say a band is tight, that means they're all loose at around the same time, or just that's tight. Not they're all.
That is some profound shit, Corey. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's
really that describes that song, Hot Fun in the Summer. It describes all kinds of Sly arrangements. But the thing that we love about that song is it speaks to the heat. It speaks to man, it's hot out here.
Yeah, there's no
and everybody's got to be loose,
right?
Because goddamn, we ain't got no time.
Hey man, you're hot. You can go a little slower if you need to.
Yeah, do whatever you need. I'm just gonna sit over here.
And that, man, I will never forget that session. There was a few conversations that I've had with them that I will just cherish for the rest of my life, and pass it on. Pass the information on. We are all sales, and what sales are good at is taking their information, giving it to another sale that is younger, and having that sale grow up and do the same thing. That's what keeps the music alive, is the passing it on. Sort of like some diseases.
Corey is deep.
He's deep.
Hey, listen, man, we're running short on time.
Okay.
And so I want to do two things. First of all, I want to profess the Break It Down show's love for everything that's going on right here today, because this day is magical. And, being here with you guys is cool. Also, I just want to stick you behind the piano for a minute and so you can play us out. But naturally, what we'd really like to do is make sure that we do this as a recurring thing, because we have a lot of guests that we really enjoy on our show, but we want to just keep having you back.
Yeah, because you are part of the show.
Well, hey, I am more than happy to come back. More than happy. More than. Thank you for having me.
What are we going to do to drag Darrell back here?
Milkshakes. That dude likes milkshakes.
He was killing that milkshake, dude.
Number one.
Poor thing.
You know what I gotta say too?
Number one, burger, no cheese.
With those headphones on, God damn, Darrell, you got a gigantic head. I didn't realize how big that fucking thing is.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
Darrell
7 to 7/8, man.
Darrell does
7
have
to
a coconut.
7/8.
Your head
But hey,
takes up over 2/3 of your shoulder width.
Wow. I
the
know
funny
you guys,
thing is Darrell and Pete have the same hat size, and I know this because I wear the same hat size as both of them.
Yeah, but I'm like 6 foot tall.
Y'all got noggins, boy.
Thank you very much for that. But
That's
hey,
true. I don't know how Nico got such a pinhead. Nico got a teeny little head. Look at his little head.
Let me just say, by get a little more serious on there. The Break It Down show. This is I thank you guys for having me, and it's always a pleasure. But Cori, after how many years? God, it's been so long.
It's at least 15.
Just a great pleasure to see you again.
Yeah,
and
you too, man.
This show here, I know I'm just a guest, but man, I hope you guys keep doing this because it's. I love it. I love this show. As you guys saw my comment on your Facebook page, and it just gets to a perspective of musicianship that no other media outlet's putting out there. And I am definitely I'm going to be a forever listener of this podcast.
You know, we love hearing that. And what we're trying to build is exactly what you're saying. We don't want to ask the questions that everybody asks. Who cares about that? You can hear that somewhere else.
Yeah, we're not trying to back people into a corner.
Yeah.
We decided early on that we weren't going to be the show that tries to, man, we got to get people to say some incendiary shit so we can create a firestorm. Maybe we don't get a lot of immediate listeners from getting somebody to say something like that, but we hope that we get listeners over time who are really just like us, who just are going to dig the vibe of the show and what the artist has to offer, and letting the artist just have some space to do his thing.
Absolutely.
And, you know, in our show, the artist, they might carry a gun for a living. Maybe they're a warrior. Maybe they're a school teacher. It can be anything.
We have, authors, artists, musicians, warriors. We have all walks of life here, and it's really a microcosm of the things that Pete and I have in common. So here we are spreading the love. I also want to say Darrell's my cousin. He would say that shit. If my show was shitty, I know he would still be like, yeah, man, I'm a fan of the show. Yeah. But I appreciate the sincerity of that comment because I know you enjoy this as much as we do.
Yeah, but I tell you, it's fucked up too.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, that shit was fucked up, man. Don't do that anymore.
Cori, go beat on those keys for us, please.
All right. Seriously, Darrell has said, hey, man, don't do that anymore.
Don't do that.
You know that thing you did? Don't do that. Here, let's get a mic somewhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna move my mic.
That was a third off.
Yes.